Hello, friends. Steve here, and I'm just going to set up a healing field, and then talk a bit about my experience from this morning, which I think you'll possibly find interesting. So, for the healing field, I suggest you state these things out loud. I connect to my deep self. I connect to my higher self. I connect to my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I release anything not useful to me now. And if you choose to have some help from the seventh dimensional beings, the Hathors, you can state out loud, I choose to work with the Hathors. And I choose to work with the Hathors. I ask that we be placed in a field of protection as we do our work. And I ask the higher self, here comes possibly Bastet's tail across the screen, or Bastet's ear. I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that would be of the highest good, to release and integrate at this time. And I invite all souls affected by this event to return to the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that they be placed in a field of protection while they do their work. There goes Bastet. She just ate, so it can't be about food. And I ask that they be placed in a field of protection while they do their work. Upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event gently and easily, fully and completely, on all levels and through all space and time. Okay, the field is set up, and if you want to just be part of that field, then you can just hit the pause button and then come back later for the closing of that healing field. And for the next little while, I'm just going to be talking about my experience of the last few days, and maybe a little bit further, but I'll just give you a little bit of an idea. The 28-year cleansing process that began March 23rd of 2025 of 1997, and then it was 28 years, so it went to March 24th of 2025. So that just completed a couple weeks ago. And some people had asked me, because I've been talking about this for 28 years, some people had asked me, what's it going to be like on the 25th when all this is done and the kind of new world is starting. And I said, I really didn't know. I hoped that it would get easier, because the past, especially, well, you could say the past 5 or 6 years has been fairly intense from my experience, and you might say it's been intense from your experience as well. And for me, the past year and a half was an amplification of that intensity. So the last year and a half has been even more intense. And so I was hoping that there would be a lightening up of the energetics, and maybe it would feel like there was less work, and I wasn't doing this kind of constant work, which I felt like I've done for the past 28 years on some levels. Especially the past 5 or 6 has been more so in terms of the intensity of the work. And so when the 24th came along and the 23rd felt better, the 24th felt better, 25th felt better. And I thought, okay, this is great. This is what I was hoping. And then the 26th, like, well, oh well. And this new world is starting, and there's this cleansing process that took place, but there's still this beginning of this new world and these new energetics, and this is a part of the new world kind of coming together, but maybe still the old world falling apart, falling away. And I don't know how to describe it. And I haven't been given information in terms of how things are going to be. It's a new world, so it's going to be however it is in that new world for us and however we experience. And basically, how we experience things is out of our consciousness. And so we may say, oh, it's been really great for me the last 2 weeks. Or you may say, it's been a bit intense for me. That's what I would say. It's been a bit intense for me, but I've worked with it, and I've worked with it fairly well from my perception. And it was also on, I think it was the 3rd, which was Thursday, was session number 10 of my Ancestral Healing Code Course. And that was the 10th and final session of the 5-month course on ancestral healing codes. And the last session, I would say, did not feel like a good closing session for me. I felt like I had gotten more and more kind of open within the community and felt like I'd given some good support to people and gotten some good support from people, and felt like a really useful healing community to me, and it still does. But that last day, that last session, so that last 2 hours of this 5 months course, last 2 hours, I would say just straight up, didn't go well for me. It went well for many other people. And there was 600 of us or so, and there's a chat board on the side so people could write things in. And as it was going along, people were writing, I feel so much lighter. I feel like so much has resolved for me. I feel like, just writing this is really great. I feel really great. And all I could think about was how blocked I felt and how uncomfortable. I wanted to be having this like everything is beautiful experience, and I'm having this feeling of like separation and feeling I'm further away from this community that I felt fairly close to fairly recently. And now I feel like I'm separate from it, and I'm in this blocked state. That caused me some discomfort. There was some clearing of that energy when Thomas worked with a couple people towards the end of the 2 hours. In the last 40 minutes or so, he worked with a couple people whose issues were similar to some of the issues that had been coming up for me. And so him working with them assisted me to work with those energies. So as he worked with one person, I felt some change. He worked with the other person, I felt some change. And then the session was over, and then class dismissed, done. And I'm like, okay, I'm still in this stuff. And I worked with it throughout that day. So that was Thursday. And I worked with it throughout that day. And on Friday, I had some additional dental work that I'm having a whole process taking place to just kind of reconstruct, say goodbye, Bastat, reconstruct some areas of teeth or lack of teeth in my mouth. So I had a couple cavities, a couple crowns worked on, and then got to today. And today, starting at 9 o'clock, was this Irish group, Irish ancestry group. So even though the course is over, these two gatherings of Irish descendants had been set up, and one took place a couple weeks ago, and the other one took place today, this morning, from 9 to 10:30. And I, this morning, prior to the course, I had realized that this pain that I had been experiencing over the past, well, off and on for a while, I realized that a chair had tipped over on me. I don't know, a few months ago, 2 months ago. Chair had tipped over on me, and I'd fallen on the chair was tipping. It tipped this way. I fell on my side onto the top of the chair on my rib cage and experienced a lot of discomfort. And that, let's say it was 2 months ago, that discomfort continued for a good 6 weeks. And I didn't associate it with this kind of crink, whatever you want to call it, professional term, crink in my neck. There had been this pain, and I had tried to work it out myself. I'd seen a chiropractic friend of mine to see if he could help it work it out. Got a little bit better. But I just felt this, contraction in my system. And so I noticed that going into this Irish group. And so the Irish group turned out to be really potent for me, because many of the people in the group, I'm just trying to get past that, to just sit on my lap and not be messing around with my visuals. So it turned out to be really powerful for me, because in the small group interaction I had with two other people, these triads, I spoke about some things that I was working with, and both the other people could really relate to these issues based on being part of an Irish family. And some of the issues were just kind of in my family, the issues were just the mean things that were said around meal times. Just how dinner was the most stressful part of my day. And I would just contract up, my stomach would get tight, I'd go into dinner. I had two older brothers, an older sister, a younger brother, and just meanness would happen around the dinner table, and I couldn't eat. I was very sensitive to this energy, and I couldn't eat, and so I just wait until everybody had shoveled down their food and disappeared, and then I would eat my dinner. And I could calm myself down, and once I got calm, I'd eat my dinner. But to have to talk about that as part of this group, and talk about just kind of the meanness that could be really present within the Irish families, and to be with a group of 18 other people who talked about various issues related to their family, but they just across the board seemed to relate to all of us within these Irish families. And there was a statement, we don't talk about this, we don't talk about this, we don't talk about this, we don't talk about this. And basically, you didn't talk about anything that caused people to be uncomfortable, but you could make really snide remarks to people that could cause them to be very uncomfortable. But as long as you weren't really talking about something that might be useful or honest or clear communication, as long as you weren't being clear in your communication and you were just being mean, that seemed okay. Anyway, in the midst of that, I felt a lot of energy releasing as part of this group experience of just releasing these energy memories. And then I noticed I could move my neck in a way that I hadn't been able to move it probably the last couple months. So I would say that my experience, you may be able to relate to my experience, or you may say, I don't know what he's talking about. It's fine. But what I would say is, my sense is that we still have work we're going to be doing, even though the energetics have reached a very high level, cruising altitude. And so we're all getting used to working on these higher energetic planes. And it's also bringing things to our awareness that are maybe no longer useful for us to hold on to. Beliefs, the stories we made up about the unresolved traumas. That's basically the definition of beliefs that I was given by my other level teachers, is that beliefs have to do with unresolved traumas. And when you release the emotional energy off the trauma, you can basically see that there's no longer any need to have that belief. So we can change in three ways. We can change our beliefs, we can change our behaviors, which just a matter of doing things differently than we've always done them before or more recently done them. And we can change based on our boundaries, based on the clarity of our energy relationships with others. So we can change beliefs, we can change behaviors, and we can change boundaries. And I've got videos I've made about all those. And if you write a lot of requests about me making a video about making those changes, I will. But I've made so many videos about those. And so you ought to be able to find them. So I felt some things within my nerve system were resolved from the gathering I had today with other Irish descendants. It was very useful. And I hope there'll be more. And I think that's what I'm going to say. I feel like some energies have cleared. I'll integrate those energies, but some energies have lifted off for myself and for some others within the group. And there's a bit more clarity in the field. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And so I'm going to do the finishing portion for the event we went back to. So I'm going to, and if you don't feel done with the event, then you can wait until you feel done with it. But if you feel done with the event, then you can participate in this closing. So I asked the higher self to assist all the souls that return to this event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity, compassion, curiosity, and kindness. And with peace and joy, I ask all the souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that these new energies be brought in now. And they go all the way into the healing center of the earth. And once they've landed there, then we ask that they be activated. And I ask that these energies be activated now. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. And it looked like I was kind of making the Spock thing, but I can only move that finger. I can't see that. Well, there's a mini Spock. Okay. So that's the healing field for today, the bringing of the new energies, a little story about my individual process over the last few weeks. Okay, that should be it for today, and I look forward to making another video related maybe to the Mayan card. All right. Now must go.